So, is there a chance that the Green Bay Packers could miss out on the playoffs? Now that the Jets have a proven quarterback, could they actually make the playoffs? And what about one AFC team that now has a proven head coach? Can he lead a veteran quarterback and his team back to the playoffs? Well, we're going to try to find the answers to those questions and many more as we bring you another off-season edition of Fantasy Football Fever, and that starts right about now. Hello, greetings to one and all. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, however you're watching on Facebook or Twitch, and whenever you're watching, thanks for making us part of your week. It is another edition of Fantasy Football Fever. It is Friday night, May 26th, 2023. We're coming up on a Memorial Day weekend, and I just want to wish great Memorial Day weekend to all of you out there, and of course, to my buddy over here, the commissioner of our league, Mr. John Natali. How are you, sir?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I already got my early Memorial Day kicked off. I tried something I never tried before, the Shaquille O'Neal's burger.
Shaquille O'Neal burger. How is it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. He has his own line of burgers. It's I never knew about it. I mean, I kind of vaguely knew. It apparently came out 2 years ago. It's his own line of Agnes beef burgers.
Well, I'm going to have to look some up and see where I can get some in my
Yeah,
area.
check your local Walmart store. That's where I found mine.
Ah, Walmart.
Right in the little refrigerator area. That little I don't know how to describe it. It's like a little, like there's like different stuff in different bins, like that thing.
Right, I got you. Unfortunately, we're not going to be joined by our good friend John Flynn, but of course, I'm sure he's got his latest episode of Hooked on Sports up already for you. So you people know what to do. Go down to the description area, click one of those links, and you'll get to hear John Flynn with his latest edition of Hooked on Sports. Now, for today's show, we're going to do a little something that we did last year around this time. We're going to be giving a list as some 5 teams who missed the playoffs last year who could make the playoffs in the 2023 season. And conversely, we'll give a list of teams that made the playoffs this past year but could miss out this coming year. So we had some very interesting lists last year, and we got some very interesting lists this year. So, but right now, before we get started with those lists, we do have a little image that we want to kind of preface this show with. So that first image that I sent you, you ready to share that with us?
I just got to figure. Yeah, I have to do it a different way. I'm gonna put the screen on my laptop, and then I'll turn my phone and film my laptop, and hopefully you'll be able to see it that way. It's just gonna it's just gonna take a moment. But
yeah, I'm still going on my Xbox right here because I have a better connection, but I still haven't figured out how to like present images through my Xbox. I'll have to figure out something like that. But
we do have some breaking news to report in case anybody missed it or hasn't heard yet. But DeAndre Hopkins has been released by the Cardinals, so he is now a free agent.
DeAndre Hopkins released by the Cardinals. Interesting.
Yeah, so I guess the Cardinals are in full rebuild mode now. They're not going to have Kyler Murray for quite some time. He got injured during a game last season. He had been out for quite some time. Well, yeah, I think they're in full rebuild mode. They could potentially be a last place team this season.
So let's see here. Trying to think, what team could really use a good wide receiver? Maybe the Jets. Maybe pick them up with Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty good possibility.
Maybe Carolina or maybe Houston.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Uh, what about you people out there? Where do you think the Hopkins should go? Why don't you give us your comments in the comment section and
Mm-hmm.
see where
All
you
right.
think DeAndre Hopkins should go.
All right. Well, yeah. Now
This,
that we got that news out of the way, I mean, I have the image ready. If you're ready to resume.
yes, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Let's go ahead and start right here.
Let's see. We could get. Let me see if I can make my screen a little bigger. Whoops. Not what I wanted to do. Made it a little too big there. Let's see. Yeah, the camera might be slightly. The camera might be a little bit backwards, but let's see what we got here. That's
Yeah,
is
let me see that here.
that the image you're referring to?
Yes, sir. Let's go ahead and put that on a solo layout here, so everyone at home will be able to
Oh, there
look.
we go.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit better.
Oh yeah, that's much better.
There were 7 new teams in the playoffs last year, so let's go ahead and look at that first column right there. That was the 2021 teams that made the playoffs that missed the 2022 playoffs. And as we go down that first list to the left, we have the Green Bay Packers,
Mm-hmm.
we have the Las Vegas Raiders, the Los Angeles Rams, New England Patriots, Tennessee Titans, Arizona Cardinals, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, yeah, interesting match there. And of course, as you said, Arizona is pretty much in rebuilding mode now since they've released DeAndre Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the middle column here, he put down the 2022 teams that made the playoffs in 22 but missed in the year before. New York Giants, Jacksonville Jaguars, Seattle Seahawks, Baltimore Ravens, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, and the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made a very interesting column to the right. These 7 teams have made the playoffs each of the last 2 years. That would be the Cincinnati Bengals, the Dallas Cowboys, Kansas City Chiefs, Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, really no surprises there. They've been very tough these past couple of years.
Yes, they definitely have. So I guess with that being said, we can go ahead and go to the next image that I sent you.
Sure. Let's see. Let me back out of here for a second. Let's see. Looks like the next one you sent me was my personal picks. You want to start there, or you want to start with Flynn's first, yours first? Where do you want to go?
We'll start with yours. We'll start
All
with
right.
your list.
Sure. All righty. I got it up, and all right. There is my list.
Okay.
Oops.
So, oh,
Whoops. I accidentally, I must have leaned on something. Hold on. All right. Hey, pick.
okay, right there. So, according to the tally, 5 playoff teams last year who may miss out this year include first the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who went 8 and finished first place in the NFC South, and they lost to the Cowboys in the wild card round last year. Of course, the Cowboys, the last team to beat Tom Brady, of course. Uh, talk about Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Tampa Bay was my clear first obvious choice. Obviously, since the Brady retirement, they're in full rebuild mode. Pretty much their offensive pieces are gone. They also released Leonard Fournette. Yeah, they don't have Ronald Jones anymore. So yeah, their running back situation is a little murky right now. We don't really know who it's going to be yet. I mean, their defense is still pretty respectable, but without an offense, how are you going to score points to win games? So yeah, I
Right.
could easily see them being a last place team. And folks, sorry for the little spoiler in advance. All of us have the Bucks, but I think pretty much everybody saw that coming.
Yeah.
All of us have the Bucks on our list.
Yes, we do. And the second team I see is the Seattle Seahawks. They finished 9-8, finished second in the NFC West, and lost to the 49ers in the wild card round. Seattle,
Hmm.
I thought they kind of started to show signs of life last year, but
Hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
this one was one of those difficult choices for me. I was fiddling around with who I wanted to make as one of my picks. Like I was fiddling around with the Giants, I was fiddling around with the Cowboys. So that one was just kind of a hard pick. It was more of like a random choice. I mean, I think the Seahawks will have a good season, but they could potentially come up short. But I wouldn't be surprised if they make it. They're a very respectable team. They still have Metcalf. They still got Tyler Lockett. So yeah, they still have a solid 1-2 threat in the offense. And their defense is still, I think, fairly respectable. This was just one of those it can go either way teams. It was kind of a hard pick. So it was one of those
uh,
random choices.
yeah, I kind of had a borderline team on my list here, but we'll get to that later. Next team you got there is the Los Angeles Chargers. They finished 10-7 last year, finished second in the AFC West, and lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the wild card round.
Yeah, this
So
one
and,
was
it seems like the Chargers are kind of slowly losing their best players about a year at a time.
yeah, and also yeah, Keenan Allen has an injury history. It's hard. It remains to be seen if he can stay healthy. Yeah, Herbert's fine though. We don't have to worry really about him. I don't think. I mean, Austin Eckler is a free agent to be, so we have to see what happens there. And I mean, I think their defense is kind of so. So yeah, kind of remains to be seen with them. I think pretty much the main reason why I said they would be out is because I think the Broncos, who I have on my in list, are going to finish with a better season than them. That's kind of one of the main reasons why I have the Chargers being out because I think the Broncos are going to finish ahead of them.
Interesting point there. Interesting. Next team I see is the Minnesota Vikings. They finished with a very good 13-4, finished first in the NFC North, but lost to your Giants in the wild card round. Minnesota, are we starting to see like a little decline in Minnesota right there?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I mean, I do think I still think they could potentially make the playoffs. It's just that the Lions are a huge legitimate threat this time around. Because, yeah, look how close the Lions made it. Oh, sorry. Look
Yeah.
how close the Lions came to making it. They were off by one game. Had they had one more win, they probably would have gotten in. Yeah,
Uh
the
huh.
Lions survived the last day, and I mean, also the Vikings lost a key piece in Adam Thielen, so they're down one receiver already. It just remains, but you can't really rely on what's his name, Jefferson to cover the load. They need other
Right.
pieces around him.
Right. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Jefferson is a very talented receiver, he needs a little bit of help on the wideout position.
Yeah.
So.
I don't necessarily think the Vikings are going to miss the playoffs entirely. Their road won't be as easy.
Hmm.
But yeah, the
See.
Lions are much improved. I mean, the Packers are on the decline. I mean, the Bears are still not too great. So yeah, I think they're the clear 1 and 2 right now. It just remains to be seen who finishes where.
Uh huh. And the last team you got on your out list is the Miami Dolphins. They finished 9-8, finished second in the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he put AFC North, but they're actually in the AFC East. And they lost to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. My concern for Minnesota is can Tua stay healthy?
Oh yeah, very good point there. I think kind of what yeah the Dolphins were a borderline pick for me as well. Well, because one of my main problems is they didn't have a first round pick, so I mean they lost out on a couple pieces that they can rebuild on, and plus
Uh-huh.
the Jets have made a massive improvement. So it was hard for me to pick who finished the second, who finished the third. So that one was kind of tough. So basically, the
Yeah,
Jets were my borderline pick for playoffs, and the Dolphins were my borderline pick for out. So that can go either way.
right.
Oh, and while we have it,
Hey,
we have
hey,
Daffy here.
birthday week almost already started. Birthday week. Birthday was yesterday. Oh, well, happy belated
Happy
birthday,
birthday, Daffy.
Dashy.
Happy belated. Hope it was a good one.
Yeah, I hope it was
And
a
yeah,
good one too. was
Yeah, we're doing
going,
our
buddy?
playoff and no playoff segment. If you have any new teams you think that could make the playoffs, let us know, or vice versa.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dashy. Yeah, if you got some teams that could, well, we're looking at teams that missed the playoffs last year that could make it this year, and then teams that were in the playoff last year that may miss it this year. So if you have a good guess as why don't you just go ahead and let us know. Let us your opinions. I don't think we have. Well, I'm not sure we're going to have a problem with Cincinnati not making the playoffs next year.
Oh, no,
That's just my opinion.
yeah,
But
they
good to
could
see
easily
you.
win the division. Worst case scenario, wild card team.
Yeah. But anyway, happy birthday, Dashy. I hope you had a good one. And now let's go to the other side
Oh yeah,
and talk about the teams that were not in the playoffs last year that who could get in this year. And the first team I see, I very much agree with the Detroit Lions. They finished second in the NFC South with a 9-8 record. They went 8-2 in the last 10 games. They had a resurgence during the middle of the later part of the season, but they just missed out on the playoffs. But with the kind of games that they played last year, I could agree with you that the Lions could definitely make the playoffs this year. In
oh
fact,
yeah,
I've said it before, I've said it many times, I'm going to say it again. I believe that the Detroit Lions will eventually win the NFC South this year.
oh yeah. That could very well happen. Yeah, and yeah, I think they had a solid draft too. And yeah, I think they'll win. They'll win their Thanksgiving Day game.
Oh, yeah, they'll win on Thanksgiving against, I think they're playing Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Green Bay is falling apart. Yeah, Lions are getting better. Vikings, it definitely remains to be seen.
And the Bears still really don't have an identity.
Mm-mm. Oh yeah,
Next team, next team I see that could get into the playoffs next year is the New Orleans Saints. They have a 7-10 record last year, finished third in the NFC South, and of course their biggest acquisition from this offseason, they signed former Raiders quarterback Derek Carr.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're definitely in the market for a quarterback. And now that Brady is out of the way, this NFC South is completely wide open. I could definitely make an argument for either the Saints, the Panthers, or the Falcons. I think all of them are definitely legitimate threats to win the division. It's just a matter of which one. I think we can all agree the Bucks are going to finish last place this season.
Yeah,
It's just basically a race between the other three.
yeah,
And
it
yeah,
could be.
I think the Saints and the Panthers both could potentially get in there.
And speaking of the Panthers, that's the next team I see on your list. The Panthers finished second in the NFC South with a record of 7-10. And of course, their big acquisition was when they drafted Bryce Young with the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft.
Oh yeah, yeah. If Bryce Young has a solid season, I could see him potentially winning the NFC Rookie of the Year, especially if they make the playoffs.
Wow,
I
that's pretty.
Yeah, I
That's
see
pretty
it as
cool right
a
there.
two-team race, the Saints or the Panthers. One of them could easily win this. But even though the Falcons are not on my list, I wouldn't count them out.
Uh huh. The next team on the list, of course, is the New York Jets. They finished 7-10 and finished last in the AFC East. But of course, the big story from New York right there was the acquisition of that bad man, Aaron Rodgers.
Oops, sorry about that. That was Monty playing with the thing. Monty, stop touching stuff. All right, there we go. Screen's back.
Yeah, we're back here. So the acquisition of Rodgers, I guess that could make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, yeah. Although their defense needs work, I think they definitely rebuilt the offense. Also, getting him a number one wide receiver in Alan Lazard. That was another big acquisition there.
Yeah.
If the Jets can fend off the Dolphins, then they might make it in. It just depends on who finishes in second place in that division.
Right, because right now of course, top of that division, of course, is Buffalo.
Mm-hmm. And then I think we could safely say the Patriots are going to finish in last place in that division.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting battle between the Jets and the Dolphins to get that second place spot.
Yeah. The only thing that worries me about the Dolphins is they didn't have that first round pick. That
Right.
could potentially hurt them. However, they do pick up one of the best defensive men in the league, Jalen Ramsey.
Uh huh.
So yeah, it's gonna be a very close one. That could come down to the last week.
It just might. It just might. The last team on your in list, Denver Broncos. They finished 5-12, last place in the NFC East. But now they have a proven head coach, the great Sean Payton.
Yeah, yeah, he did. Yeah, Peyton definitely has that track record of getting teams into the playoffs. But as far as the Broncos go, that was kind of like a random pick. I kind of had a hard time picking my fifth choice. I was
Yeah.
leaning around the Falcons. They're kind of my honorable mention. But I didn't want to have too many teams in one division. It's kind of why I left them out. I was trying to have a little bit of variety.
Right.
I mean, I also had potentially the Titans as a potential, the Colts as a potential, but it was kind of a random pick. But if everything goes right for the Broncos and Russell Wilson has an improvement, they'll make it.
They could. That's a very interesting list you got there, buddy. We
Yeah.
have another one checking in here. Joshua Cook. Hey, Josh, how you doing? Thanks for watching, buddy. Talking about teams that could miss the playoffs this year and teams that could make the playoffs this year. Oh, and he said something else. Oh, he's sending his birthday wishes to Dashy. Well, thanks for watching, Josh. Glad yeah you can be watching the show with us. Now,
Oh, yeah. All right.
I
All
think we're
right.
now going to go to
Let's
let's go to
see.
let's go to Flynn's list now.
All right. Get that
Let's
up
see
there
let's
one
see
moment.
let's see what he's got on his list here.
Yeah, let's see. All right. His
Sure he's
looks pretty interesting. His is fairly similar to mine in several areas. We'll get this opened up momentarily.
all right then. Meanwhile, why don't you people at home make your picks? Who you think the teams that made the playoffs this year could miss out, and of course the teams that missed out last year could make it this year. As I take another few sips of my wonderful soda.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
What kind of soda we got today?
Oh, this is the Kroger brand that's supposed to taste like Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Dr. Snap.
Dr. K.
Dr. K. Oh, yeah. That's a good one. I've had that before.
Dr. K. This is the Kroger brand. Hey, it tastes just the same.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. All right.
All
Well, I
right.
got I
Well,
got,
let's
I got
go
Flynn's
ahead
up
and
now.
expand expand your screen again so we can look at Flynn's list. Now, the team that is out, first team he's got listed, well, we just mentioned the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, we did mention losing Adam Thielen and don't want to overload Justin Jefferson. So we kind of
Right.
mentioned them. He thinks, it's just interesting.
Well, he picked he
The
put a ditch on his own
Giants.
team.
Hmm.
I mean, I was on the fence. I'm gonna admit that. I
So,
almost put the Giants on my list.
okay. What would kind of be your concerns with the G-Man?
With the NFC East is stacked. That can go either way. It's clearly a three-team race. It's the Eagles, the Giants, and the Cowboys. I mean, the Giants could potentially finish with roughly the same record, but there's a possibility they might just miss, or other teams owning the tiebreaker, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because I think it's between the Cowboys and the Giants for second place, and it could potentially come down to tiebreakers.
It could be. He also has Tampa Bay on his list right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens
Now that
finished
one is
second in the
surprising to
NFC
me.
North, 10-7.
Mm.
They lost to Cincinnati in the AFC wildcard round. Uh, your thoughts on the Ravens?
Yeah, that's a bit of a surprise to me. I mean, Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. But it's kind of one of those things. One of those things. I'm kind of surprised, but also kind of not surprised. Because that is definitely a two-team race. The Bengals and the Ravens. They are the clear 1 and 2. It's just a matter of who finishes where. But I still think they'll make the playoffs regardless. I think something would have to go horribly wrong for the Ravens to miss, though.
And I see he also has the Dolphins as a team that could miss the playoffs this coming year.
Hmm.
And looking on the other side, his picks for teams that could get into the playoffs, well, he's got the Lions, he's got the Panthers, he's got the Jets, he's got the Saints. Well, he's also got the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, that one. I think that will. I think that's very, very bold.
Your thoughts on Cleveland?
Yeah. I don't know about this one. I think this one's a bit of a reach. That means a very bold pick.
Very bold indeed. They finished last in the FC North. The record of 7-10. They had a full year of Deshaun Watson. So
I don't know about this one. I think the Browns are a last place team again.
yeah, as Stephen A. Smith would say, that kind of gives me cause to pause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one actually is a talker to me. So yeah, we'll see. Any given Sunday.
We'll
Any
have to
given
get
mm-hmm.
We'll
Any given
we'll
Sunday.
have to get with him on that.
Yeah, any given Sunday. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's what they say. Any given Sunday. That's true. So those are Flynn's picks for who's out and who's in. I think Dashy gave us. He has Baltimore missing the playoffs because I still don't trust Harbaugh. Hmm.
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
That's an interesting comment there. All right. Well, now I guess you can go ahead and put up my list,
Alrighty.
and
Set up here.
I'm gonna warn you people. My list for out of the playoffs has one shocking team, but I only have one huge concern for that team
All right.
when the tally puts it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, your list is fairly similar to mine and Flynn's, but yeah, you also have another team from the inside that neither me nor Flynn put, but we'll find out what that is momentarily. So yeah, you have two different teams. All right, you ready to go?
Yep, go ahead, put
All
up my
right,
list.
here we go, folks. The moment of truth. Here is Tim's picks.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me get this layout back out again.
There we go.
This here. Yeah, that's my list over on. There's my who's out list. Now I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you people are saying. You're getting way ahead of me. You're looking down at the last team on that list, and you're saying, Tim, you actually think that your Cowboys could miss playoffs. Well, they did finish 12-5, finished second in the NFC East, but they lost the second year in a row to the 49ers and the divisional round playoffs. My only concern with the Cowboys right now is if Dak Prescott can kind of decrease his interceptions and pick six throws. I mean, some of his throws have been so terrible. And they've been talking like, should they go ahead and extend his contract now? Now, I say, hell no. I say this has to be another wait and see, make it or break it year for Dak before they can even think of one iota of giving him some kind of contract extension. So that's my reasoning that I've got the Cowboys on that list that could miss the playoffs, although I hope they don't. But hopefully Dak will decrease his interception per total. Of course, as many of us know, he led the league in interceptions last year, and somehow they made it to the NFC Divisional Championship. So Uh, I got some other teams that have been mentioned before on the out list. Los Angeles Chargers seem to be losing some of their best players a little bit at a time. Buccaneers, see them finish dead last. Baltimore Ravens, my concern is what Lamar Jackson are we going to see this year? Are we going to
Good
see?
point.
Are we going to see an outstanding Lamar Jackson? Or are we going to see a borderline borderline Jackson? Or are we going to see a mediocre Jackson? That's my concern with the Ravens. And I also mentioned the Dolphins because, as I said before, Tua Tagovailoa's health. I mean, if he can stay healthy, then he could probably take the Dolphins to the playoffs. But that was kind of a borderline pick for me right there with the Dolphins.
Mhm.
So anyway, somebody knocking.
Ooh, all right, let's see who
I
it is.
think I hear somebody knocking.
All right, who is it?
Well, better late than never
Hey!
is our man John Flynn.
Hello. I didn't think there was gonna be a chance I'd make it tonight, but here I am.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only host of Hooked on Sports, John Flynn, who I can see just got off the bus, is probably walking back to his place.
No, I actually just got out of work, so
Oh, he just got out of work.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Good timing.
Yeah,
That's good.
good
That's good.
time.
That's a good thing because we wanted you to. We have a couple of picks that we want you to elaborate on.
Yeah. So whose lists did we go through so far?
We already did mine and yours. We're going to Tim's now.
All right.
But yeah, you could definitely elaborate on yours when we finish with Tim's.
Yeah, we can go through Tim's and one of them I was fascinated by in terms of one of Tim's takes, and Tim and I went back and forth on Messenger about this, but
Oh, I know what that one is. You're talking about the Cowboys, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Tim just briefly talked about it, but yeah, he could say it again because he wants.
Yeah, my only concern is Dak Prescott if he still has trouble and keeps throwing all those interceptions. And yeah, the and our now our corners. I don't think we should have a problem with the corners because we got Trayvon Diggs on one side and we got Stephon Gilmore on the other side.
Yeah.
Uh, Linebackers have been a little bit questionable over the last couple of years as far as their health. Um,
Yeah. See, but I think the way the Cowboys structured their draft up, especially when they drafted Matthew Smith, uh, from Michigan, I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Micah Parsons.
yeah, yeah, that would be a good
I
one
guess
there.
I guess then we can go back to the screen. You're just about to get into talk about your who team pick.
Yes, the teams that I got in the playoffs this year. We mentioned the Detroit Lions. We mentioned the Jets. We mentioned the Broncos. I had a borderline pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I say this could be a bounce back year, although I'm not totally convinced. I mean, I'm not really totally sold on Kenny Pickett. I'll just have to see what he does from time to time here. And my other pick for the team to go in this year, Atlanta Falcons. If they can somehow find a way to maybe work their top draft pick, Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas, who I was hoping would be taken by the Cowboys, but of course he was gone way before then. If they can work Bijan Robinson in that offense and their offensive system, I think the Falcons could be good. We've already mentioned that the NFC South will probably just be a three-team race. It's going to be the Falcons, well, the Panthers, and the Saints because we do not see Green Bay go. No, we don't. No, who's that one other team? Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is probably not going. not going places this year. So
Yeah, all of us had Tampa Bay on our out list, and I think all of us had the Lions on our in list.
yeah, so I guess we all have the Lions on the in list as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, see, all of our lists
Yeah, but I
are
guess
very,
since
very
Flynn's here,
similar.
Flynn could elaborate further on his. Flynn.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lions one was too easy.
Eric, we're bringing Flynn's list back up so he can elaborate further.
Yeah,
See, Eric, Flynn, you can start with your outs first.
yeah. I think the first two I think are interesting because the two teams that met in one of the playoff games last year with the Vikings and the Giants, and both teams were similar in the fact that they were right around the even in terms of point differential. The Giants had a -6 point differential, while I think the Vikings were -3. Yet they somehow won 13 games. And look, the Vikings were 11-0 in one possession games last year, and it is going to be really hard to duplicate that for a second time, and the Vikings defense was old, slow. It was atrocious, and Daniel Jones had 375 total yards against that defense last year. So yeah, but the one positive I think for Minnesota is the fact that they hired Brian Flores to be their defensive coordinator. But right now, I just think I have issues with the talent and the players. And I felt like the Vikings missed an opportunity in the draft to get younger and faster on the defensive side. So I think there's going to be some problems on that front. Um, as for the Giants, I'm the only one that has the Giants as one of the teams out right
Yeah,
now.
I almost did it.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to the Giants, look, the Giants had three games last year. They were down double digits. They had no business winning those games, yet found a way to win those games. But was week one when they were down 13-zip to Tennessee, the game in London where the Giants were down 10 points to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. So, but I thought if that game was played at Lambeau Field instead of London, that's where the Giants would have been. I think the Giants would have lost that game, and the Packers would have made the playoffs over the Giants. And then week 6 against Baltimore, the Giants played bad football for 3.5 quarters, and then they turned it around there. So, but look, I think the Giants roster got better. So, but also I think their competition is going to be a heck of a lot tougher than it was last year because the Giants had the gift of playing the two worst divisions in the NFL last year. In the NFC North, the Packers Bears division, and then in the AFC South, where yeah, you had the Texans, the Colts, and the Titans all underperform there. So I think it's going to be a situation um where the Giants are going to miss out because I think the competition is better, especially in the NFC. Look, lots been talked about with the AFC being so quarterback heavy, but the NFC, you've got some teams that are improved and going to be tougher competition for the Giants. And then the Buccaneers, I think both of you elaborated, said that without Brady and Baker Mayfield starting as the starting quarterback, I mean, come on. Um,
Right.
and then the Baltimore Ravens, I
Yeah, this
right
was
now
the
I
one
have
that
them
threw me
out
into a loop.
because I think Baltimore's defense is not good, and is Lamar Jackson going to stay healthy? And right now, I don't have that trust level when it comes to those two main components for the Ravens. And then the Dolphins, yes, they got better by getting Jalen Ramsey, but again, is Tua going to stay healthy? And and Tua is not a top 8 quarterback in the conference right now. So you you could say all you want about Miami, but I'm not buying it from a Dolphins perspective, especially when you have teams that have improved within the conference. So it's going to be obviously an interesting case with the AFC. Now, the two AFC teams I have on the right side of that chart are the Jets, who both of you had as playoff teams because of Aaron Rodgers and that defense.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I threw in the Cleveland Browns
That was my
for that.
surprise pick. This is the one I'm excited. I'm interested in hearing. This one really intrigues me.
I mean, think of what you need to go on a to go on to go on a heater in the postseason. You need offensive coach, quarterback, offensive line. The Browns have the best offensive line in the AFC now that Orlando Brown is now no longer in Kansas City, and they have an excellent defensive line. We're headed by Myles Garrett, a future Hall of Famer, at his position, and people forget that so that Deshaun Watson, again, all things considered, with the sexual abuse situations with him, but when it's a fall off season, the first the first off season in 3 years, in 4 years basically, because you had COVID 1 year, and then you had the trade and the suspension, and all that. So first normal off season in 4 years for Deshaun Watson, and if he returns to form, to his Texans form, the Cleveland Browns would scare the living hell out of me. If for down the stretch of the season, or when they can control the line of scrimmage, and also that running game too with Nick Chubb. I mean, come on. I think, and think of what the Browns didn't have the last 2 years. Good quarterback play. And I mean, in 2021, Baker Mayfield was offensive to the senses, and then last year, the Deshaun Watson suspension torpedoed the whole season. So
Yeah.
I think the Cleveland Browns are going to be a super scary team, and if Deshaun Watson goes back to vintage form, the Cleveland Browns are going to be a threat to the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, and the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Jets in the AFC. So,
Very
so
interesting take. Yeah, I just realized that I'm the only person who didn't put an AFC North team.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh is there because of the was in the consideration because of the culture and the coach and the quarterback, and what they were able to do. I still think they're lacking in terms of the offense around them. So Pittsburgh was put on hold for just a moment, um, but in terms of the NFC, obviously you guys probably touched on this about the Lions and their culture, but I have two teams from the same division with the New Orleans Saints and the Carolina Panthers, and
Yes, I put them in there too.
yeah, I mean I mean the Saints are there because I had to put a third NFC team in there if I had three NFC teams on the other side, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean going from Jameis Winston to Derek Carr, I think is a boom for the New Orleans Saints, and that defense can do a lot of things. Now, the Dennis Allen still employed there scares the hell out of me in terms of the coaching and the in-game coaching decisions, because Dennis Allen has been just as bad a coach in New Orleans as he was with the
Yeah.
Raiders. So that gave me pause, but when you have who I think is going to be the best quarterback in the division for the upcoming season, that's where I think that's where push comes to shove. Now, maybe we can expect some magic out of Bryce Young, and Frank Reich is a heck of a coach who never got his fair shake in Indianapolis because of the dysfunction within the front office, spearheaded by Jim Irsay. But but the Panthers, the Saints. I mean, you may have two teams that win 10 games in that division. Maybe we'll see about Atlanta. Atlanta's going to be a much different team than much of the others because the Falcons are going to be relying on that rushing attack over so often with Bijan Robinson. So I think the NFC, especially the NFC South, remember, all four teams in that division were separated by a game last year in the NFC South. And Tampa won 8 games, but they went from Tom Brady to Baker Mayfield. And then you have the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons. They each won 7 games, and all of them could be 500 or better teams in the upcoming season, guys.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah,
That
I don't put the
NFC.
Falcons on my list.
Tell you what, that NFC South is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah,
Well, with the exception of one team,
and,
of
and, and,
course.
and I mean, we're at the official halfway point of the off season because the same distance and time between the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and the Eagles and the opening kickoff between the Lions and the Eagles. I mean, if you guys had to pick who would win the NFC South right now, well, I would pick New Orleans because of the quarterback. Do either
Yeah,
one of you have Carolina or Atlanta right
yeah,
now?
I have New Orleans as well.
I would probably take New Orleans for first place. An interesting battle and the between the Panthers and the Falcons for second place. And then, of course, I see Tampa Bay finishing maybe dead last.
Yeah, I did make a bold prediction just a little while ago that if Bryce Young has a solid season, he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I mean, he's the number one overall pick. He's the favorite. He and Bijan Robinson are the two favorites to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was tempted to put the Falcons in my in list, but I didn't want to. I was trying to spread it out a bit. That way I had a little bit of variety.
Yeah, and also another thing too. I think Arthur Smith is a really good coach.
Hmm. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if all three of them make it, but I think it's just going to be 2 out of the 3.
Yeah,
or maybe one.
I mean, especially when you have Dallas. I think the interesting thing. I don't think did either one of you put Seattle as a team to miss the playoffs because I didn't.
Yeah, I have Seattle on my out list.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I think Seattle got somewhat better than they did last year.
Yeah.
Because I think drafting Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, I think is a big thing because Illinois has turned into a good culture. I mean, Brett Bielema, who was the Giants linebacker coach before this, he's doing a phenomenal job coaching up that Illinois program that was left in shambles by Lovie Smith after he was fired, and and I think you're going to see more Fighting Illini get picked in the NFL draft, and you saw that firsthand with Devon Witherspoon, and also they had their choice of the big 4 wide receivers in the draft. They decided to go with Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State with their pick, and I think so. And now you have an offense in Seattle that includes DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, and also Kenneth Walker running the football, and Geno Smith, who was the comeback player of the year in the National Football League last year. So. So how it relates to the NFC South, I think a max of 2 teams will get in, but I do think there's a possibility of 2 teams in the NFC South winning at least 10 games this year. So I think the NFC, obviously the quarterbacks are not to the likes of Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert in the AFC, but there's going to be a lot of interesting football in the NFC this year.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for the most part, our lists were fairly similar.
Yeah,
I mean, Flynn and I shared 4 out of the 5 of who's in.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, it, yeah. I mean, you had Denver, I believe, and while I had Cleveland.
right?
Yeah, but
Yeah. We weren't solo on too many things. We were solo on like one thing each. Flynn, you were by yourself on the Browns. I was by myself on the Seahawks. I think, and Tim was
uh,
by himself on the Cowboys and the Steelers.
yeah, and I was by myself with the Giants.
Oh, right.
Some very, very interesting lists we made up for these teams here. Interesting to see what happens here. Now, wait a minute. Dashy had one more comment here. Let me see what he said. Said, I finally have this will come up as a shocker. Carolina making the playoffs. I want to see Bryce Young succeed as the Panthers' new quarterback for the future. Well, there's a possibility.
I mean, Bryce Young was the closest. I mean, I thought for a while C.J. Stroud was going to be the number one overall pick, but I think but when Frank Reich first saw Bryce Young in the during the workouts leading up to the draft, that's when when it was that's the guy and
Yeah. So, yeah, it might be interesting to see Bryce Young kind of grow and flourish with that Panther franchise right there.
yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
now we also talked about earlier today these new rules that were discussed during the owners meetings
Yeah, and voted on too.
and voted on. Now, the first rule, if I'm not mistaken, has to do with the uh, kickoffs or punts, and they like depending on if someone signals if a fair catch is made.
Yes. So basically, what Tim is talking about is the NFL changed the rule that if you're between the 25-yard line and the goal line, you can wave up for a touchback, similar to like what you do for punts. And so this led to the possibility. What they were talking about is maybe seeing more squib kicks, such that the return team can't call a fair catch. That's going to be an interesting thing to see, especially when it comes to fourth quarter games. But essentially, guys, this is the NFL's response to the concussions from last year because the NFL's metrics said that more concussions occurred on kickoff returns than anything else. So they're trying to they're trying to cut down on that, and the NFL felt like it had blood on its hands following everything
Uh huh.
that went down with Tua Tagovailoa last year. Remember, he had 2 concussions last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first thing that was discussed. But a lot of coaches and a lot of special teams coaches are vehemently against it, as am I. Because it's basically turning into flag football, and that's just not what the fans want.
Right.
I mean, also especially, with returns, especially with what transpired in the Super Bowl last year with the punt return by in the Super Bowl by former Giants legend Kadarius Toney that set up the winning score, or the last, or I should say the touchdown that put Kansas City in front for the first time in that Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, we got another person watching this now. Well, you know, it's LC Muscles, one of my fellow horsemen.
Look, Lucas.
Lucas, how you doing? How you doing? Good to see you. Glad you're watching. Glad everybody's watched the show. Yeah, this is basically my response to that new kickoff rule. Just hashtag Roger Logic.
Yeah.
That's basically it there. So I'm not sure I'm going to like this new kickoff rule myself.
And I mean, in the in the last off season, the one between last year and the year before, they made no rule changes at all. They kept it the same. But
Yeah,
yeah, and you also too what the new protocols are going to be. In the wake of in the wake of what happened with Damar Hamlin last year with the Bills.
oh yeah. And of course, they probably had to do a lot of changes because of that incident right
Yeah.
there.
And I mean, remember when we almost had that on that AFC Championship game, neutral site game, with the Bills and the Chiefs that
Right.
almost happened, which was bullshit in among itself.
Yeah. And that was a. I think that was a terrible decision on their part. But again, Roger Logic.
Yeah,
So, and I heard that old Roger Dodger has gotten an extension through the 2027 season.
yeah. And also another thing. I don't know if you mentioned this, Tim, but there's also a lot of controversy with Thursday night football because from weeks 13 through 17, so the NFL reserves the right to flex any game from Sunday and pull ahead 3 days for Thursday night football, which is complete and utter baloney.
Hmm.
The,
Yeah.
Yeah, because think about if fans from around the country want to travel and support their teams and they can't do it because of a Thursday and they have to wait for they have to change all their hotels and all their travel accommodations because the NFL took another power grab.
Yeah. Yep. Once again, Roger Logic.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't see any logic in that.
And,
I just don't.
Yeah, if you ever hear from the NFL again, they care about the fans. No, that's a lie.
Well, of course, we've heard in the past that NFL stands for no fun league. I mean, if these changes, it could become no fan league.
Oh,
Yeah. I remember I think it was 3 years ago, the COVID season. I think the name of our league was the No Fun League.
Right.
Remember that, Natalie?
that sounds familiar. Yeah.
The No Fun League.
Dash, you mentioned
Oh,
this.
that's
The
something.
TV penalty is now a 15-yard personal foul instead of keeping it as a 10-yard penalty.
I thought it was always a 15-yard penalty.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned something new.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so these new changes, I'm already not a fan of them.
No.
And I've seen one thing here.
Sam,
So,
but for this,
I was open to giving it something a chance. I'm trying to be a little bit moderate here. Give it a chance. Let's see how it turns out.
yeah.
Or at least let it play out in the preseason, maybe.
Sure, that's
See
fair.
what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the Thursday night football flex late in the season is going to be quite annoying. Especially so, and I think the perfect example for this is Week 15 of the season because right now the Thursday night football game is the Chargers and the Raiders, and who knows if the Raiders are not going to be in the playoff conversation and And I saw two 1 o'clock games that Sunday in particular. That could be more intriguing at the time with Jets Dolphins and Giants Saints and I looked into the possibility of flying down to New Orleans for the Week 15 Giants Saints game, and now just the thought of that game being flexed from Sunday to Thursday night scares the living hell out of me.
Oh, hey, I get what you're saying, bro. You're planning a big trip, and now it may not happen.
Because the NFL it only cares about itself, but the reality of the situation is, guys, that so that the that the, that if football is on, guess what people are gonna watch?
Yep,
Football.
Yeah.
yep. Watch football. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we love to do.
yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess we've pretty much. What's it, Dashy? Monday night football games can now be flexed. Oh no, that's like
No,
no,
that's
no, no,
that's not what
no,
we've heard.
no, no, not. It was just for Sundays and Thursdays, but still Sunday for Thursday. That's still. There's no logic in that. I totally agree with what Flynn says right there. Uh, is there anything we need to discuss? I think we
I can
still
think
have.
of. I know the plan for the next showcase scenes would be the division previews.
We still have division previews coming up.
Yeah, we have that, and then my new edition, 20Q, 20 fantasy questions.
Yeah,
20 questions. Hey, that's going to be a fun one. That's when we're going to get all you to ask your questions.
Yeah,
We're going,
that
it's
I,
going to
I
be
have that planned
August.
for August. That'll be the show before we make our season predictions.
yeah. And then also before we do our fantasy draft.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the last one. Yeah, the fantasy draft. That's obviously the last thing. Usually, that's the one I typically plan. The Friday before the regular season.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm thinking
We,
probably for the division previews, probably split up a bit. Maybe 2 shows in June, 2 shows in July. So that way we're not like out of breath and stuff like that. Probably
that
spread.
sounds good.
Yeah,
That
that way we
sounds
could spread it out a bit. But we
right.
have content.
Yeah. So,
So what do you think? Maybe the start maybe the second Friday of June. So that would be. Let me look at the calendar here. Possibly June 9th.
possibly.
Yeah, and then probably June 9th for one of them, and then maybe June 23rd for the other, something like that.
Uh-huh.
Dashi wrote another comment here. There's another penalty that will be in effect: the illegal kicks that leads to loss of down.
I wonder what kind of kicks he's talking about. Kicks that lead to a loss of down.
Illegal kicks. I'm trying to figure out. Well, unless he means kickoffs that go out of bounds, I'm not too sure what he means.
Well, there is a penalty. There is a penalty, and there I think there is already for like kickoffs that go out of bounds.
Yeah, I think you start at the 5. The other team starts at the 40-yard line.
Oh yeah,
I mean, do you remember in the Super Bowl like 20 years ago when it was the New England Carolina Super Bowl and John Casey of the Panthers kicked the ball out of bounds with the minute left of the game and allowed Brady to start his second Super Bowl winning drive at the 40-yard line.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, one of the all-time blunders in Super Bowl history
Right.
was the out of bounds kickoff.
Yeah, I think that's probably what she's talking about, but I thought there already was a penalty for that. So, but I mean, the result of the penalty that could, yeah, that could kind of give me a little cause to pause. But I digress. So, so I guess if there's nothing else to talk about, we could just go ahead and remind all you people about Hooked on Sports. Flynn, I was thinking you have your latest show up.
Yeah, I put up the show on Wednesday.
Okay, it was on Wednesday, so
Yeah,
people click on all those links in the description area.
yeah,
And I also want to make a comment on the Western Conference Finals. You said Vegas in six. I actually thought it would be Vegas in a sweep.
yeah. So
But
did you see those overtime turns for the OT game? I mean, Vegas was 3-0 in the playoffs in OT, while Dallas was 0-4. But a penalty that had to be called, and Joe Pavelski took advantage.
yeah, so that allowed the Stars to get the victory, but they're still facing elimination though. The series
Yeah,
moves to Vegas,
yeah.
Game 5 tomorrow night.
But I mean, the Florida Panthers, I had no idea they were going to not only beat the Carolina Hurricanes, but sweep them out of the playoffs. I mean, oh my word,
Wow.
my goodness.
Wow. So
But in terms of the NBA, I mean, obviously I'll have my Cup Finals preview, my NBA Finals preview. So because when I record next, we'll know who is going to be in the NBA Finals, which start on Thursday, and then depending on what happens with Vegas and Dallas, because if Vegas wins, I think the Cup Finals start next Wednesday, and if Dallas wins Game 5, the finals will start on Saturday, regardless of what happens the rest of that series. So,
Yeah, I
right.
think if the Heat lose tomorrow, I think they're in trouble.
the Heat have to win tomorrow night, but I think they will win because I think Spoelstra
Yeah,
is too good with making
yeah, I think so too.
adjustments.
How we got Gabe Vincent is going to be out, so we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, but if the Heat do make the NBA Finals, they'll probably get Tyler Hero back.
Ah, true. Oh, I thought he was done for the year. Wow, interesting.
I remember he was only out for 6 weeks,
Ah,
and like Monday, Sunday is like 6 weeks.
oh, never mind. I got him mixed. I mixed him up
Uh,
with Victor Oladipo.
Yeah. Oh, the Depot too. I think that makes it that much more impressive. But if Boston does wind up winning the series in winning the series down 0-3, what are the Heat fans going to talk about? Are they going to talk
Yeah,
about are they going to talk about the 8 seed going to the conference finals, or are they going to talk about blowing the
yeah,
3-0 lead?
yeah. It's never happened in the NBA. I don't think.
It's never happened.
Yeah, I think just baseball is the only sport I believe that's happened.
No,
But
no, it's
we
happened.
don't. We're not going to get into that though. We know where that went.
I mean, it also happened. Yeah, it also happened in hockey several times.
Oh, it did. Okay, that one I didn't. I didn't know
Yeah,
about that. I don't follow hockey.
yeah, but I think the
When was this in
Flyers did
hockey? When did
that
that
against.
happen?
I think the Flyers did that against the Bruins in the 2010 playoffs, but a couple of other times as well. Um,
Oh
but
wow.
but but it nearly happened in baseball in the bubble. That's because the Rays were up 3-0 on the Astros, and the Astros won games 4, 5, and 6 before Tampa held on to win Game 7 and the
Yeah,
pennant.
yeah. I happened to my Yankees one year, like the 2003, I think ALCS.
2004 against the Red Sox.
Yeah, that was brutal. That was brutal for me to watch.
Yeah.
yeah, so we got So we got Jack's tournament in golf. We got the NBA playoffs coming down to the wire to the finals,
Oh, oh,
Stanley Cup, and of course, since we're talking about Memorial Day weekend, we got to talk about the greatest day in auto racing,
the Indy
which is
500.
Memorial Day Sunday.
Yeah.
Grand Prix of Monaco, Indy 500, Coca Cola 600. I mean, you got a whole lot there, but yeah, I think we'll be able to reconvene here at this same time and place on the 9th. We'll do well what are we going to do? We're going to start our division previews. I think
Yeah. It's about. I think whatever Natalie had planned. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't care either way.
yeah, we can do that. We'll start our division previews 2 weeks from now.
Hmm.
So well, I don't really have anything planned for Memorial Day except that I have to work. However, since it is a holiday, I think we get paid extra. So at least that's good news of that.
Oh yeah.
So y'all got any plans for the weekend?
no, I
Not as far as
don't.
I know.
So I guess just a spur of the moment thing. Maybe
Yeah.
something could come up. So
Hmm.
well, anyway, I want to wish you guys a nice Memorial Day weekend,
Yep. Same to you.
Yep.
and we're just gonna let Flynn run to his house, and I think he'll probably crash or maybe I don't know.
Yeah. He's sitting down on something. It looks like he's relaxed.
I think he's riding on his bus right now. So
Oh.
More like.
This whole time I thought he was walking home. Whoops.
I mean, yeah. I mean, apparently Natalia needs less not comprehension. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I misheard you the first time. I thought you said you were on your way home from
Yeah.
or something.
yeah, well, so he's just down on the bus, so he's making his way. So I guess we'll let him go on his way,
Yep.
and I guess we'll go on our way. So we'll get together 2 weeks from tonight. We'll start our divisional previews. This is where we're going to take a look at two divisions in a week. We're going to look at all the teams, kind of scan their schedules, and see what kind of wins and losses they could get. So that's always a good thing for us to do. So I guess we'll go ahead and put a wrap on this show. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Don't forget, listen to Hooked on Sports with John Flynn. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. I know why here. John Natale, John Flynn.
Yep.
Have a great holiday, guys.
You too.
You too.
And a happy holiday to all of you out there. For John Flynn, for John Natale, my name's Tim McClellan. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great holiday weekend, everybody. Thanks for watching us. God bless you. And as always, be a good sport. See ya.